We need automation that actually feels human. The real unlock is knowing which buyer signals actually matter.
Welcome back, folks, to the HubSpot Hints Podcast. I'm your host, Andy Brimhall. I have my co-host here, Mike Thatcher, the CTO of Hintible, and our guest, Davey from Pearagon, also the founder of Winterbound. So we're excited to have him on with us today. Pearagon is a Diamond HubSpot Solutions Partner, which means they're often seeing what's coming in HubSpot before the rest of us. So, Davey, great to have you on.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys. Excited for this.
Yeah, and we crossed paths a few times at Inbound this past year, the infamous San Francisco Inbound. What were your takeaways from it?
AI, right? Lots of AI. Got to listen to some great speakers that I think one of the main ones was a guy that worked for ChatGPT on the revenue side, and just seeing kind of the future as where can AI go? And then what does that mean for HubSpot? And HubSpot took this huge leap into data and enrichment, which was pretty powerful. So, but overall, I'm glad that we're not doing it in San Francisco again next year. I really like the Boston area a lot more than I like the San Francisco area. No offense to anybody from San Francisco, but definitely a different vibe in San Francisco than in Boston. So excited to get back there. But HubSpot makes you feel like you're at HubSpot. So when you're there, you're there. And it's great to meet with partners like yourself, other partners and connections while we were there. I think that's kind of the main thoroughfare of any of these events, is not only the education, but the relationships that you make in person with individuals and some of the partners that you work with. So it's awesome.
Definitely. Yeah, I share some of the same sentiments about the San Francisco location. It's fun to go there. It's a beautiful city. One thing that stuck out to me was, I can't remember what day it was, but outside, and I see this protest coming down the street, and I, just kind of go, okay, here we go. We got a San Francisco protest. What is it this time? Is it the plastic straws, or what are we doing wrong? But it turns out as it got closer, I'm like, wait a second, this is a company sponsored fake protest. Like, this is marketing. And I was like, okay, that's brilliant, actually.
Yeah, it's kind of pretty clever. People do at these events. I love seeing. Saw one of the other guys had their robot out there, and I think they got in trouble for their robot being on the floor in one of the areas, and so they had to move it. And I've seen people wear big banners and signs and hats. And one year we had our entire team. We tried to make ourselves just all match, and we wore a little bit brighter clothing, and we weren't in pink, but we were in some neon green and some bright blue. And some bright orange shirts for everybody. And when we went around, people would recognize, like, oh, I talked to one of your team members. And that just helps to get your name out, right? And so notability is a big thing.
Smart. Love it. How did that go for you guys? You guys sponsored Inbound, right? You guys had a booth there.
We didn't sponsor. We partnered. We had a partner that was there that allowed us to participate at their booth with them, which was really nice. And it was with Intelligent, great company. They offer some really great data analytics and insight into how your deals and your revenue are moving throughout the system. They have a great tool set that provides details on that. And they were kind enough with our relationship and our partnership with them to come and participate with them and really try to help them to engage more people on the floor. And then in turn helped us to meet some people as well. So it was really, really kind of them to allow us to do that.
That's awesome. Tell us a little bit about what service do you offer to those people that you're meeting?
Yeah. So I consider us a full service CRM implementation partner. I always like to tell people we don't do. I'm not your marketing guy. I'm not going to write your copy for you or put up, tell you if it should be the blue button or the red button, but I'm the guy that can say, if you've chosen the blue button, I can make sure the blue button's on your website. I can make sure it's in the email. I can build out your sales process, your sales methodology within HubSpot. I can help to make sure that it works. We do a lot of custom work for people. And really I say custom, and that scares people because they go, oh, it's really expensive. A lot of it's just architecture. The right architecture for your system. I have a client we just signed, and one of their challenges is that they've got multiple divisions that they work with. And so they create all these pipelines, and they're trying to figure out how to divide it up to get the right data for revenue to match with their BI tool. And so I talked to them about how they can correctly use the out-of-the-box features with their line items using standard functionality to meet their needs, but also meet their custom needs, right? Different, the way that they manage their business, right? And so I think that's what sets us apart, Pearagon specifically, is that we've always looked at HubSpot as from an architectural view first, and being able to help companies to take what they're trying to do and make sure that the CRM matches to those needs, and vice versa, helping them to understand how a CRM works so they can correctly use it to meet their needs and get the most out of their system, and really just get rid of the junk. We're very big on migrations, integrations, data management, our key focuses that we help clients with. And so just kind of helps. It's fun for me. We problem solve a lot here at our business. It's one of the hallmarks of my team is that we sit down and it's like, all right, here's the challenge. Let's see who can solve it and how we can solve it. And that's fun.
That's awesome. Well, we visited a little bit with Brandon, one of your devs there. What role has development and having a dev on hand as a partner, what's that done for you? And what's your recommendation to other partners when it comes to development?
Yeah. Just to put, I guess it's one of those moments where you get to like sit on a little bit of a pedestal. I think we were one of the first companies to have a HubSpot developer early on, almost 6 years ago when we started. We started 8 years ago, but early on, one of the first guys that I hired was a developer. Actually, I hired two different guys that were in development. And they're like, okay, so what am I coding? And I was like, nothing. They go, what? And I go, it's not there yet, but I want you to look at some of the things that we can code. There's a few little areas here. What can we do with it? How can we expose it for our needs? And we built some really cool tools using HubSpot's serverless functions that most people didn't know. We even showed it to the HubSpot product team, an element that we developed on their system. Like, hey, so we decided to use your serverless functions to create this, to do this. And their team, we sat on a call with their product team and they went, that's cool. We always wondered if somebody could do that, and you guys just did it. So it's like they built the software, and they're like, we wonder if anybody will ever use it in this way, right? It's like building a car and saying, we built the engine to go 250 miles per hour. We always wondered if somebody would actually take it up to that mark. And that's what we did. And I think since then, we've really tried to take development has really changed the whole landscape of HubSpot. It's what's brought it into the next echelon as an enterprise software for the companies that we work with. And we are working with larger and larger clients that are now seeing that HubSpot meets those needs. It's allowed for us to really pull in that new cliche term of AI and really bring that into builds of what people are doing. And it helps us as well in the things that we're building internally on our own HubSpot for project management, for invoice management. We're using all these amazing tools now directly in the system. They're orchestrating correctly because developers are able to do that. What's really interesting though, is as we increase in developers, guys, we decreased in developers as AI came out. And so I think at one point we had 5 or 6 devs on the team, and now I have 2. And
It's incredible, right?
Yeah. And we're doing more work than we ever did before. We're doing 4 times the amount of development work, all because AI helps distribute the workload. Crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys are seeing that, but that's what I've been seeing. And I've heard it from other companies as well. I'm even able to, with my AI, turn some of my architects and admins into developers, like pre-developers, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing what we can accomplish now and how quickly. And it's things like the HubSpot development that you're not building an entire like crazy system that's going and doing a billion things. Usually you're saying like, okay, what does this customer need? They need this. Awesome, let's do it. AI is so good at that beginning, like, here's this very well-defined problem that we have, solve it, code me a solution for it. And obviously it still needs some handholding, which is why you still need a couple devs, right?
Yeah.
But it's incredible where
Somebody's
it's
got
come.
to check the work. So we're not perfect yet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
someday, right? I say that with trepidation because, there goes my job. But
Well, Pearagon is definitely, I would consider you guys definitely one of the leaders in this space in terms of like being on top of the new stuff that HubSpot's always coming out of, because yeah, devs definitely give you an edge when it comes to customizing things for your clients. But there's a lot of there's a lot of really small HubSpot partners that maybe don't have a dev yet. And so they kind of have, out of the box to work with. What are some of the new things that HubSpot's come out with in the past few months that you're really excited about?
You're asking me this today. I wish you were asking me tomorrow. It's so hard. There's so much new.
So to be clear for everybody, he's under like NDAs and stuff to not tell us all the stuff that he knows before HubSpot releases
Yeah.
it to the public.
I don't
That's
know.
what he's saying here.
No, but I'll tell you what's really fascinating is more and more APIs are opening. Some of the bigger APIs, like the invoice API. I know that doesn't seem huge to you all, but to me, it's huge because we built out a project, the project management. Let's just talk about that. So project management, there's a projects object now. Now that's part of a standard object and it connects correctly within the system, but the project's connected with invoicing instead of using a third party. We still use QuickBooks because that's part of our bookkeeping, but I can help create my invoices out of HubSpot for the work that I'm doing on each line item. And that blows my mind. So as soon as I feel like every single time a new feature comes out, we look at it and go, what can we do with this? Who's going to want this? One of the aspects that we see a lot is, I think it's just the openness of objects, calculated fields. In other words, data management. What it really comes down to is a core of data management, right? Within the system. How do I take data from one area of HubSpot to put it in another, or how can I visibly see it in another area? I'll tell you what, I'll be really frank and honest. I think the one area that's still lacking for HubSpot is reporting. They've come out with some really cool reporting features, but as a tool and be able to cross manipulate some of the data into certain data patterns and charts is still something that's lacking. I feel like this next year, because now that we're past the AI mantra, I feel like, and what people are doing, I think next year is going to be around, okay, data visualization. What is my data doing? Because that's evolutionarily the next step of what would need to happen is now that you've got my data and you're enriching it and it's all there and it's working and there's a little bot in the background doing my customer service for me and my prospecting, my sales. Now I want something to feed back to me what's actually happening so I can just see it in a chart. Because now it's about management. What AI drives us to, I need to be able to sit down at a command module and work the command module, right? And I need to and by the data that's being fed to me, I can ask questions or ascertain what the next evolutionary item is for my team. Hey, you know what? We're noticing that the average deal amount is this, and what do we need to do with it? Or the number of customer service calls that we're taking has increased, and why is that? Like, what's causing that? We can look at maybe what are the issues that they're like, what are the average issues? Well, it's login issues. Well, let's go create a page about how to log into our system, or let's go to the development team and change how our login process works, right? And it's making those decisions. It's giving power back to management. And you're going to see just more management within the system versus actual builders and admins, right?
You're absolutely right.
That's where it needs to move to. But it requires knowledge, guys, on how the system works and how you want it to work. And the people that are there's going to be somebody that comes out that's studying all of this really, really hard. And they're like, I've got all the knowledge on how a CRM works and what the best practices are. And I'm going to take AI and I'm going to build a process like this that helps make it work. And it's going to all come together. And I'm going to teach people how to read their data, how to read their charts to then make business decisions. And people are going to write books on how to make business decisions on the data that you're seeing in your charts and how to read your charts. And HubSpot's moving that direction in terms of the data management, the CRM, and the architecture is all going well and beautiful, and the UI and the structure that's going. There's challenges. People always have challenges, right? I don't like it this way, or why can't I put special buttons in certain places? But after that's gone by, and it will go by, I saw it with Salesforce years ago when I was doing Salesforce. It'll move to that next step of just data and reporting, dashboards, and how now can you make decisions based on a dashboard? We should have a process. I'll put it out there. There should be a process that on your report, on your dashboard, you click the report and you say, based on this report, you give the AI command on what you want to see change. And it goes in the background and starts making the changes based on the report. Hey, this report is telling me that we're lacking in this. I want to create a new campaign to do this, or I want to test this theory, or go and redo research on this for me now that I know this information. Because that's inevitably what CEOs do, right? They see a report and they look at their subordinates and they look at their other C-suite and they go, okay, well, what can we do here? Or what is the next step? And so being able to ask your reports what to do, have it to go research the other reports or the other data, or to have the background in historical future, guys. It's all the future.
Absolutely. I think you're 100% right. It comes down to those reports, and whether those are reports that we as humans can, consume, or if it's simply reports that the AI can consume more quickly and easily, we need the data to make the decisions. Absolutely.
I'm predicting
So that's fascinating.
you're gonna play this in 5 years back. Davey knew it.
It was prophetic. I love it. I love it.
Quick shout out to our sponsor, Hintible. If you're using HubSpot and it still feels a little robotic, Hintible helps fix that. Hintible lets you add interactive video directly into your HubSpot workflows. So instead of generic follow-ups, your contacts hear from a real human with buttons, branching, and intent signals synced back to HubSpot. Think of it as a way to humanize HubSpot without breaking your existing workflow. So if you want to see what that looks like, go check out hintable.com. Shifting gears a little bit, HubSpot's kind of all about automation, right? But there are some companies out there like Hintible that are focused on humanizing it. You guys hold this awesome event called Winterbound. Like, where did that idea come from, and why did you start Winterbound?
So I'll give you the stories. In my previous life, did a lot of stuff with Salesforce. Salesforce had a local user group, and I thought that was really cool. And then they started holding a conference here in Utah called Snowforce. And I was like, man, you know what? I should hold an event for HubSpot people. Well, and I was talking to one of my team members, one of my former employees. He's like, what if you called it Winterbound and you use the IN in winter and the abound, and it says inbound, but we like make it for Utah. And I was like, that is the best idea.
Brilliant.
Yep. So he got a bonus of $1 and, and, got invited, but it was cool to see. I think the first time we had like 50 people show up for our event, and then we just increased it from there, and it went up to 70 and then 90 and then 125, I think, at this last one. And, this next year, I think we're going to we shorten it to one day. We're trying to see if we can increase our numbers by shortening it to one day so that we're not putting so much burden of a 2-day event on people's backs. But it's going to be, Winterbound came about because I wanted to have, to your point, Andy, I wanted to have face-to-face interactions. I wanted people to be taught in a classroom. I love digital stuff, right? It's really great, but there is still something to the human interaction. I do believe that 100%. I think videos brought us to this new interaction that's been great versus the phone call. I remember back in the days, there was somebody a family friend of ours that was deaf. And to interact with them, we would take our phone, call a certain number. What are you doing today? Right. And here we are now, and we're interacting and we're recording, and we get to add in, you could add fireworks to this if you want in our interaction. We can see each other's facial expression, but there's still something to that next level. This is one step towards that helps people to be comfortable. Right. I love the argument on LinkedIn. You guys have probably seen this. I'd love to hear your opinion on it. There's always this argument of, does it matter if I turn my camera on or not? And I'm like, yeah, it does. Why?
100%.
Because I want to know whether or not you're paying attention to me. I want to know if you're part of the conversation. If I'm in a team group and they turn their camera off, I go, you might as well just leave the meeting. You're not even participating. You're not even a part of it. I don't even know why we have you on here. I do it with my team members. I'm like, whenever we go through a conversation, I always recognize in the room, I'm like, Billy and Sally no longer need to be a part of this. They're going to check out anyways, get out of the room. Right. I do the same thing on phone calls that I have with people. I'm like, if you're going to be on here, you better have a purpose. Right. And you better show me your face because I want to know who you are. I will always have my camera on. The only time I don't have it on is when I'm driving because I get distracted if I'm looking at it. And I'll jump on, quickly try to get to a room where I can turn on my camera and say, this is me. I'm a real human being. And Winterbound is that echelon, that next level of, hey, you've met with all these people before virtually. Now let's meet them in person. Inbound's the same way, right? Let's meet in person. Let's create relationships. And we're seeing that inbound is increasing in number of in attendance. And we're seeing that same thing in Winterbound. We're seeing people want to get out. They're coming to the local hug meetings, which we hold at our office, but getting out, talking to somebody, and then after that meeting, instead of getting off the call and being like, okay, I'm done. Oh, shoot, I have more questions, or wish I could talk to that third person over to the right individually. And you can do that as soon as you start leaving the room. You can grab somebody and be like, hey, well, I've got this on my mind. Tell me what you think about this. And it's in those moments and those interactions that relationships grow and cultivate and trust is built. And that's what business is really all about, is trust. Can I trust the other person? And so these human interactions here virtually are good to start, but that in person is what takes it to that next level, which I think is important. And so, yeah, anyways.
Completely agree. I didn't realize it was completely tangential, but like from a security standpoint too, the way AI is going, like you can get on these calls with AI if your face isn't there. Eventually your face can be there too, right? With AI. But there's a security element as well that's not as important today, but will be a couple of years from now, that you have to have your camera on,
Are
right?
you real? There's gonna be some weird like video recaptcha that's gonna identify if you're a real person or not, right?
Right?
Just reading the news
Yeah.
yesterday about, I'm sure you guys read all the Twitter stuff that's just come out where they're manipulating people and what they're wearing. And I'm like, what? Why are we even allowing this? Like, and we don't have laws or regulations against it. And that's
No.
what people,
Yeah.
what's really scaring people is they're like, hey, people are doing this. Is there a law or regulation? No, there isn't. And that's, I think Congress needs to get on that.
It's left to each company, right? And you'll notice that as you're going to like ChatGPT and saying, hey, do this for me. It's like, no, I can't do that for you. And then you go to another platform, like, yeah, no problem. I'll do that for you. Right?
X is like, whatever you want, man.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, but going back to like events and the reason why we have them, like I think the type of people that go to an event like Winterbound are the ones that actually care about staying on top of their profession, right? And like you'll notice that people that go to events and conferences are usually the ones that are like a year or two ahead of everybody else. They're the ones that are going to be teaching people online and creating content to teach you what they've learned, but by then it's been a year or two until you find it. And before you realize it, you're behind, right? You got to be kind of front and center. You got to sit in the front of the class, and events and stuff like Winterbound are a great way to do that.
Well, it's a great way. Education has always been important to me. One, because I was always lacking in education. In my history in education, guys, I took 15 years to get my bachelor's. So people always laugh. I started in 2000 at BYU, Idaho, and I finished in 2015 with my bachelor's, right? Like people were like, oh, I was like, they should call me Dr. Warren. I retook a lot of classes, but it's important to me. The thing about it is because I learned, and then I wanted to like immediately take what I learned and try it out. And so I'd go do something and be like, I need more education. I don't understand this. And I go back to school, right? And then eventually my wife like beat me up and said, I need you to finish. Even though I was already in a career, she's like, I need you to get a degree. I think it'll be important for our children. I said, okay. So I started in school at night online and finished up my degree, which is grateful. But, Winterbound is that same premise of education. I try to find people that have good information that I think are good professors of what's going on in HubSpot. And I love their opinion. I think opinions are so, and the way that people see things differently is awesome. I think we had like 3 or 4 people talk about AI last year. And if you went to any of them, they were all different at different levels of AI, different understanding, which was great because think about the mixture of people that came. We have people who are brand new. They're like, I don't know AI. I don't even have ChatGPT. Why should I use it? Right? There's still people out there doing that. Today, though, I think my parents are using ChatGPT pretty strongly these days because they realize they have it on their phone, right? And my dad's really big about his Siri, right? Hey, Siri, tell me about this, right? I'm like, I wouldn't trust Siri, but I think some of the other, but they're moving to that, right? And so these professors that come in, these educators, which are just my peers, and then teaching everybody at different levels of what's going on, then that person is now leveling up. And then we all kind of get to the same level. And as we continue to do our events, we start to see that everybody that's coming is kind of growing together and we create this pool of knowledge. And then I think that there's this element where there's dependence, there's independence, and then there's interdependence, And I learned this from a Covey, a family member a while ago. Interdependence is when you have the knowledge, not only can you do what you're supposed to do, but you can make decisions about it. You can think deeper about it, and you can do it without the support of something else, right? And so can you make those decisions? And I think that as a whole, the group becomes stronger and more powerful. And we're trying to help others not to just become dependent on ChatGPT to give an answer, or, okay, now I know how to study everything and I can do this on my own. We get to a point of, oh, I can make decisions. I can solve problems for people together, and we can solve, you get a few of those people in a room, you're solving really big problems, which is really cool. And that's what we're trying to culminate to, is I'm trying to get like-minded people together to solve problems and to share what they've learned. And that becomes powerful.
That's really awesome. And we'll put in the show notes how to get tickets. But you want to run down real quick. How does someone get a ticket to Winterbound?
I believe we still own winterbound.com, or just go to Pearagon, Pearagon.com, Pearagon.com, and you will be able to find access to our tickets, or just look on Eventbrite. It is listed on Eventbrite. And so, yeah, if you just Google Winterbound, it's winterbound.pearagon.com. And we'll take you directly to the Winterbound page where you can sign up to attend. And yeah, we'd love to see anybody and everybody that travel in for it sometimes, just because we're one of the only other educational events around HubSpot that occurs, and that's pretty large. So yeah, come and learn with us.
And for any other partners that are interested in maybe sponsoring, same place there, or where should they go?
Yeah, there's a sponsorship opportunity page on there as well that you can access. There's 2 buttons, and you'll be able to access that as well.
Great.
Awesome.
Thanks, Davey. Really appreciate you being on, and look forward to seeing you at Winterbound and future inbounds and everything in between. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate you.
See ya.